Welcome to Season 3 of Far Reach Voyages, where we share our love of sailing and adventure travel. It's about 1300 on 19 June. Last night we had the big impulse squall, I guess is what I call it. But as I suspected, we were far enough southeast that we did not get the brunt of it. We sort of got the tail of it, which is a good thing, because looking out the companionway to the northwest, there was a lot of lightning up there, and it looked ugly. So, taking our time yesterday to kind of work our way back up towards 28 North was a good move. So we hove to last night, and I got a great night's sleep. I slept 5 hours after I cleaned the boat up and everything, and ate some supper, and sent my spot off this morning to Chris Parker and listened to the weather, what he thought was going to happen. And I've taken the morning to kind of work with the Trysail a little bit, because I used the double reef main last night. I just didn't think it was going to be that big of a thing, and I wanted some daylight to work with the Trysail out on the open ocean. So I got the Trysail up, pulled the double reef main down and secured it with sail ties, gaskets if you prefer, and hauled up the Trysail. I've got it rigged kind of between the lazy jacks. I don't know, seems okay. Not perfect. I don't want to pull them forward. It's a lot of work to pull them forward, and then the little bullet blocks up there beating on the mast, and I think this will work. If it doesn't, I can always pull them forward. So I dropped both headsails, hoisted up the Trysail, sheeted it back to used the jib turning blocks to the primary winches. Same over here. Goes to the primary winch. And ideally you have what's called a square drift, that you drift directly down the wind, creating a slick, and you stay in the slick. And we're still fore-reaching a little bit, maybe a half to 3/4 of a knot. We just kind of move out behind the slick. And that slick is supposed to keep waves, breaking waves, it just smooths them out right before they get to you. All types of testimonies from all kinds of people about it. The trick is getting your boat to square drift. Absolutely do not move forward. And that's not such an easy thing to do. And it's not easy to replicate in light conditions, because the forces on the boat and the sail are a lot different in 12 knots of wind and 45 or 50 knots of wind. You can see a little bit of the slick right there, and you can see we are moving forward. I could put out the 8-foot drogue parachute, the Bureau of Ordnance parachute, but what's the point? I can't duplicate the conditions of 50 knots. So it's just been interesting to work with putting the tiller in different places and shock coordinate, and you learn a lot about how lines need to be rigged and what needs to go where and what's in the way, and additional pad eyes would help here or there. We're in pretty good shape. I can make this work pretty well. I've had this Trysail up a couple of times, and so I'm pretty familiar with it. It just remains to be seen how it all works when it's blowing stink. But it's a smaller sail. It's about the size of a triple reef main. It's not as tall as a triple reef main, and the foot's a little longer, which I think is better for a boat like ours. It's our full keel with a cutaway 4-foot. There's a lot of people like to backwind the small jib or storm jib, but you only need to do that if your boat's trying to tack through the wind, and I don't think this boat's going to try to tack through the wind. I think keeping the nose off isn't that difficult. Keeping the nose off the wind. I've got my double reef staysail up there right now. I was playing with this morning. I've got that as an option if I needed it. But the key thing is to prevent the boat from going forward. And without more wind, I'm not exactly sure where we are in that equation, but we're close. And I think putting the big drogue over on a couple 100 feet of line, putting that out, putting over the side, putting it out, I think that may be what we have to do. But anyway, it came out pretty good. And I like the system. I don't think I have a whole lot more to report on it. If you have a Trysail and you haven't used it, you know, you just got to rig it a bunch of times to make sure you're really familiar with it. I had mine up before I left home, and then I had it up again in the Virgin Islands at anchor, just playing with it. So it's good to be comfortable with how to rig it. You know, I can only imagine trying to do this when it's blowing 45 or 50 and it's dark out. You got to really know where everything is. It'd be a lot easier with an extra person on the boat, but even then I think it'd still be really hard, difficult. So we don't shy away from hard or difficult here. We just try to get better at it. That's pretty much it. I think I'm gonna drop the Trysail and turn about and start working, you know, about 310 magnetic, I think. Start working my way up towards 30 north and 77 west, and take 2 days to get there. Like I said, I'm not in a hurry to race back across the Gulf Stream until it's completely sorted out. So that's it for now. It's great to be out here. It's a beautiful day. Totally alone. Life's good. There's a little school of fish. Follow me. I'm not sure what kind they are. Let's see if they'll come out. Some old stale crackers in there. They don't seem to be interested, but it pulls them out. They're about a foot long. I wonder what else is down there. Interesting. Just so you don't think it's all fun and games, we do laundry on the far reach. I don't use soap because it takes too much water to rinse it out. If we caught a whole bunch of rainwater to do it. I learned a while back about a technique where you can mix some ammonia in with fresh water, and then you just, you know, scrub your clothes like you would if there was soap in there, and then you just rinse it out. You don't rinse it out, you just wring it out, and somehow the ammonia just evaporates. You don't smell it. And I've done it before, and it worked. I don't know what the exact ratio is. I guess I should know that. I just used a cup of ammonia and a couple gallons of water. Seems to be effective. The crew doesn't complain. It's a little, it's not a toilet plunger, it's a special laundry agitator. I've had it a couple of years. It definitely works better than a plunger. I let it soak for about an hour. And I'll just hang them on the line and let them dry. It's calm enough. I think the wind's going to pick up a little bit, so it seems as good a time as any to get this knocked out. So it's Wednesday afternoon, we're under sail. We don't want to go north, 30 north before Friday. 30 north is, I think, about 240 miles from Cape Lookout or Beaufort, which is 2 days at 120 miles a day. Pretty easy. But that would put me in on Sunday. And I don't want to go in on Sunday. It's too much boat traffic. I may go into the Bight out at Cape Lookout and rest for a day. And just recover, clean up the boat. Before I go into Beaufort and clear in. And it'll be kind of crazy out there on the weekend in June. If I were to go on Monday morning, I think I'll own the place. So I may get up to 30 north Saturday, which means I got a couple of days to get there, and I could just kind of take my time. I might heave to again tonight and sleep. I'm thinking about it. There's no big rush. Nice thing about not having a wheel is you can put the tiller out of the way. Just free the cockpit up. So the boat originally came with a wheel, but I took it off and converted the boat to tiller, and I never regretted it 1 second. It's hard to find a boat these days below 30 feet that don't have a wheel. It used to be boats below about 45 feet didn't have a wheel. And the original Baltimore Clippers didn't have a wheel. They were 80, 90 feet long, and they sailed them with the tiller. Relieving tackle on them when it was really windy. So it's a choice, not a necessity. A little while ago, I was down below. I looked at the AIS and I noticed that there was a target on there, but it was filtered, so it didn't fall in the parameters that I had set to be alerted. So I took the filters off and I checked it out, and it turns out it just says U.S. government vessel. Okay. But then speed over ground was 28 knots, 26.8 knots, something like that. So it's a warship of some kind. So somebody's out there about 11 miles away operating at high speed. They obviously see us because we've been transmitting. I don't usually transmit during the day. I just forgot to turn it off, I think, this morning. It saves a little power, and I don't really need to transmit when I'm up on deck, or usually just during the day, because I always keep a lookout for other ships. So you're never really alone out here. I don't know if this thing is even working in the dark like this. It's sitting on the far deck of the far reach. It's the 19th of June, about 23:40. These squalls are out there on the horizon, and I didn't want to run into the back of them, so we've been watching them real carefully. Wing and wing, staysail, single reef main. I could not see those clouds a while ago at all because the moon was down. Lots of stars, but I couldn't see the clouds. The moon has come up, and so the horizon's visible, and I can see the clouds and the thunderheads up in front of us and all the way down to the west. It's a beautiful electrical storm up there. It's beautiful when you're far enough away that you don't have to be too worried about it. It's not a threat to us at this point. We can just go another 12 or 15 miles. I'll hold up for the night and heave to. Get a couple hours of sleep. Anyway, kind of neat. Join us in the next episode when the thunderstorms clear out and we make numerous sail changes to pick up speed. If you enjoyed this episode of Far Reach Voyages, let us know in the comments. Also, consider liking and subscribing, as it tells us you would like to see more videos and it helps the channel grow. See you next episode.